Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Human Design Coffee Talk. Breyton is going to be joining us today. We're just going to get existential with him, talk about strategy and authority, human design education pathways, and whatever else comes through. You just never know. Welcome everybody. Breyton's always late, so he'll probably be a minute. Hey, I almost wore my hat today. Oh.
I'm wearing my hat because
I was going to, and then you just gave me that to respond to.
I'm wearing my hat because I'm responding to I have a massage line on my face. I just got a massage.
Shout out to Jenn, Joyful Projector.
Yeah, she sells these hats. She makes your type. So if you're new to human design, then you know that there are, then you may or may not know why we're MGs, but ours say generators because there's only 4 aura types. And so we are generator types.
Oh.
But she'll make one for anybody, whatever your profile is, whatever your type is.
Yes.
They're really fun. I think they're only like $25. So go check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a hat that Raw used to wear that said 5-1 Manifester.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of a joke.
Mm-hmm.
A little jokey joke.
Yeah. As you guys are hopping on, we'd love to know who's joining us. Breyton will be here eventually.
Yep. I told them, I'm like, he's always late, so.
But yeah, thank you all for all the love. It seems like you guys are enjoying these coffee talks, and we just fucking love doing them. So, yeah, we appreciate it.
I mean, the point to Coffee Talk is really just to talk about lived experience, because we see a lot of, there's a lot of stuff out there that's like regurgitated source material, which is great because we need that too. But we just think this is really necessary in the space to just come on and share a lived experience, because it's like, that's the only way we're really going to learn. And I think, this is just what I've been seeing a lot in the community, people making each other wrong for their lived experience, which I'm not in support of that. So I think when we open up this space, it's just a space of like, hey, come on, share. What are you going through? What's been your experience with doing this? And not trying to make anybody wrong for having a lived experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're fourth line, so we like to externalize, and a lot of our guests have been fourth lines.
So we just externalize together in fourth line soup.
Yeah, I think we've had, we had a 5-1 reflector. Then we had Lena, who's a 3-5. We had Sam, who's a 3-6, but she has a lot of fourth lines, so she's like, feels like a fourth line. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, from Germany. Cool. Emotional generator.
So there is if anybody has a question, there is a question box where you can put a question in. Teresa, you're gonna have to navigate answering those. But if you have something that comes up that you are responding to, or anything that you want to ask Breyton about, just put it in the question box, because then it doesn't get lost in the comments, and then we can go in.
Yes, we'll probably look into those at the end, or if there's, if we're not talking about anything and it's an opening for a question.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the best way to get your questions answered, is through the question box. Because also sometimes I've noticed, I just don't even see comments. I don't know if there's an Instagram glitch, but
yeah,
they just disappear. So
yeah,
that's the best way.
Yeah, well, while we're waiting for Breyton, how's everybody feeling being released from Channel of Awareness? If you don't already have some of those gates, because 24 is still there, but I'm feeling good.
Feeling good. I'm feeling good with my open head again. Head pressure gone. Brandy, what has been your experience with the 2034?
Well, I didn't think it was affecting me. I was like, no.
Because you already have the 3410, so it's like
3410, but I didn't realize until it kind of released out of the nodes I was like, holy crap, I was busier even in my mind. And I was just like, but I wasn't accomplishing as much as I normally do.
Same.
I still get a lot done because that's how I operate. I'm always doing a lot of things at once. But so I have, defined head and ajna through the transits and then 3420. And I was like trying to be all busy and then like mentally like racking my brain and beating myself up of why I couldn't, I don't know. I wasn't like fulfilling as much as I normally was. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then when it let up, I was like, oh,
Yep.
okay, it was affecting me. I was busier. I felt like I needed to be busier than I normally am. So how was
But
it
like,
for you?
but like doing things that don't matter necessarily. It's like,
Totally. Totally.
I feel like it affected my mind more than my physical body. And I actually, Brayton said something about how his emotional center slows him down when there's these transits. And I was like, holy shit, that's what it felt like the last 3 months. Like I was running at half speed.
Yeah.
Like my body was purposefully slowing me down so that I can't just be running rampant out there.
Right.
It's like I couldn't get myself to do things like normally I'm just like, oh, boom, response. Yeah, let's go. But I felt like I was a prisoner to my couch the last 3 months.
You and I talked about that a lot. Like, we're like, I am like extra
Loafing.
loafy. Like, you would think that would make you not, what we hear about 3420 not having lived it is like we hear that these people are busy and have a lot of energy, and so it really puts in perspective the expectations that we have about people with that channel. But I was like super on the couch for 3 months. And I was still doing a lot of shit, but it didn't feel as like quick as it
and it wasn't as satisfying. I don't feel like I was in satisfaction as much as I normally am.
Yeah.
It was like I'm just doing shit for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
So none of us are immune to being hijacked by the transits. You're aware of it. That's all. You're just aware of it. I'm glad other people have been feeling that way because I'm feeling like I'm already feeling more like myself and like I have more energy to be in response.
Yeah. Doing not satisfying shit too. Now that you said that, that makes me realize like I would just have like moments of like satisfaction, and then but my life is usually continuously satisfaction. Like, I mean, not saying I don't have frustration, but it's just like little doses of it all day long, like little hits of it. And during that transit, it was really like, this is satisfaction. And then couch.
On the couch. Here's wiped out for days.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that I got sick like the last week of it too. It was like a final, you need to lay down and not move. That's my body's voice, I guess. You need to lay down and not move.
Sammy says the pressure of the transit sometimes feels like we are diamonds under pressure.
Yes. I kept saying that it felt like a pressure valve released.
Yeah.
After like yesterday, it was just like a So I feel like my peppy self again now. Like,
Same. Yeah.
Head pressure gone. My open head is back, asking all the questions, thinking about things that don't matter.
I know. It's great. I know.
I'm like, I've missed you.
Like when you don't have a defined head, when you're completely open like us, and you're like, oh, it must be so nice and then you have it for a little bit, and initially the transit like comes in and you're like, this is kind of cool, and then you're like, no, give me my open head back. Did we have more or less sex during the 2034?
Less. That's why I'm like, I like my 659. Like, I like my channel of mating just by itself. That's my only generator channel.
Oh my God, that just clicked something for me because like yesterday, all of a sudden I was like, it is sex time all the time. It feels like.
I was feeling that way yesterday too, but my husband has a 2034, so it's always hit or miss.
But I'm like, why is this like all of a sudden like, ooh, Andy, hey, and it was like gone for quite a while. So that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone wants to share in the comments too, if they want to get real personal on here, Sam just with the hard hitting questions.
Yeah, there she is.
Just going right in.
Some people are saying less. Some people are saying the most sexual I've been is during the 2034.
Wow. Are you normally not defined in your sacral center?
I can't see comments.
Sammy finally had sex.
Congratulations. Another person says less. Someone else says defined head, throat, solar plexus is uncomfortable. Yeah, I got defined solar plexus through synthesis and emoting for a little bit. So that's fun too. Sarah also finally had sex.
We will celebrate anybody who wants to share that. If you just need some snaps.
Mara says less. So I'm seeing a lot less, but are these all these people sacredly defined? So less and to have 59.6, less and sacredly defined, less but found it hard. Can't have less but found it harder. Interesting, Emily. Tobias less during 2034 and gone up since then. Yeah. I wonder if we'll see like a boom of like fertility.
But also 60 just entered Pluto, and somebody posted something about like that being a fertility killer. Not those aren't the exact words. I'm probably butchering it, but something about how I think it was Jono. He posted that in Victoria they did something to outlaw fertility treatments or something.
Yeah.
Like IVF.
Yeah, the day that Pluto went into gate 60, they outlawed IVF in Victoria. Weird.
Yep. Very strange. So
yeah. Hey, Amy.
It's a weird time.
Amy, you just joined us. Sam was asking about how much sex we were having during 34. And everybody is answering if they had more or less during that time period. And I know that you're a week on, week off with your husband because he works, but did you notice a difference? I would like to know from you because you are undefined sacral. A lot of people who are answering are defined sacrals, and most of them are saying less.
Oh, and Emily, I don't know if it's just like everybody with gate 60. I think it's something about this like Pluto being in gate 60 and the transit. So if you have gate 60, I'm not saying that you will be infertile. just wanting to clarify that. It was something very specific about the transit.
There's no blanket statements in human design. Yeah. Sacred Sacral Flow says sacral defined less, like
more.
Less like none. Amy says more. Okay. And then Christine says less, both projectors who define the sacral together. Oh, Tobias is undefined sacral too. Yeah. Manifester wanted more. Yeah. Interesting. A projector and a however, slow and very nice during. Something with 3-3 in the 60s, Jen says.
Yes, thank you for.
Yeah. I have gate 3 in line 1 and line 4, so I will have that channel for quite some time. On and off forever.
Birth by design. I've dated projectors with 60 to my 3 and couldn't have kids. Whoa, interesting anecdotal.
Carla says much less, and husband who isn't into human design said we've just been too busy, I guess. 2034.
Perfect. I love when people who like aren't into human design and don't know what's going on are just so aware of what's going on.
Tobias said less. Sarah has gate 3 line 3 and 60 line 4.
Well, maybe you don't have to worry about having rave babies then. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. That's just something that my open head has been like, what if I have a rave baby?
Welcome back. Amy's husband is 952 and his touch cognition. So once he starts, you know.
Oh, okay. Okay. My mind is wandering now, Amy.
This is supposed to be a chat about being existential with Breyton, but he's not on yet. You're 3 parts right, so close to possible. Yeah. Rave child maker.
Don't say it, Sammy.
Where's Breyton?
I mean,
there is a reel about this. Waiting for Breyton.
Waiting for Breyton. I'm just,
Emotional authority.
Mhm.
Tobias says less during 2034. Actually, I wasn't in the mood at all. And since then, it went up. But I also have 3 hanging. So root and sacral defined by Pluto in 60. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was too busy too. But I'm like, what was I busy with?
I'm just too busy. I wasn't busy with anything.
Yeah.
Not in reality, but it felt busy. You know what? It also felt like time was going by really fast. Like it felt like time was speeding up. Like I'm like, where did the holidays go? Where did the whole last 3 months felt like I was just running a race.
Yeah. Yeah. You were at my house and then you were gone. And I was
I
like,
know. I know.
where'd you
Just
go?
like blew in and out.
Yeah.
Time went fast.
Yep.
Here I was worried about being late for this because I was at the infrared sauna place and I was like rushing to get home on time. I was like, you don't need to rush.
Yeah. Breyton is worth the wait. Thank you, Sam, for guiding this conversation via the comments.
Yeah, giving us things to respond to.
Well, it's like now that transits, everyone's like, let's talk about sex.
Or the lack thereof.
What a time, though. Interesting time, too, for all of those babies that were born with channel of awareness, with, 3420.
Man, I'm not going to lie. I was kind of glad I wasn't giving birth.
My sister had a baby during that time.
Good for her. That's what's meant for her.
Yeah. He's a
Wasn't meant for me.
He's a 5'2" MG with both of those channels.
Mm-hmm. That's a fun design.
A little weirdo.
A little weirdo.
Yeah.
We have some keynotes in here from Jenn.
I can't see.
An innate contrariness, 3.3, survival. An innate contrariness which refuses to mutate. When Pluto comes into gate 60, we will have a whole generation of people that will provide us with no new mutative material. Wow. That's fascinating. This is a generation that will be a blind end when it comes to reproduction. Whoa. So let me clarify this. So people who are born with that will not be reproducing? Is that the theory? Yeah, interesting how the transits work too. Mara made a good point. We will have the 2343s through the nodes to guide the 23-4s. Yeah, there's going to be a big push of people with 2343 born.
Yeah. Interesting people those are. My son is one.
Yep.
I love that channel.
The guides for the 2034.
Yeah, the baby's born with Pluto in gate 60.
Okay. And it's gonna be in 60 for a while, right? For the next like
on
years,
and
on and off
for like a long time. Yeah, like into like 2020. I could be wrong, but it's like on and off and on and off and on and off because it bounces between like what 49 or 19 and 61. I can't remember. Somebody.
Sammy's so six.
Have y'all ever discussed the other sacral gate sexually besides 34?
Like all of them, or?
Well, 34 is like characteristically like the asexual gate.
Asexual, yeah.
So I wouldn't really call it like a sexual gate. This is the time that Planish diminishes its population, says Carla.
But everybody's going to blame it on other shit, right? People are going to blame it on like the V or the 5G, which is just, it's like chicken or the egg. I don't know. But it was going to happen because of transits. So
Sam says 29, sex. Teresa has gate 29.
I do. I have both of the sexual gates then. I have 29 and I have 59. Those are my only sacral It's my only sacral energy.
Oh, Breyton, where are you?
Oh, Breyton.
Wait, can you say again which gate is asexual and what does that mean?
34. Asexual just means like
It's just like meh.
no sex. Like it's like you're not it's just like I imagine just like a flat line.
Yeah,
you know? It's not that you're like a hard no to it, right? But it's just like a maybe something you don't even think about. I mean, you have 34, so
I don't think about it. I don't think about it at all. Yeah, I don't. I have to have something to respond to, some way of something. And I've even told my husband that because I'm like, you would think he has defined sacral. But
well, he's amplifying yours though.
Amplifying mine. But yeah.
And he's gonna have it from the transits for a while.
Yeah, I have 3410 as well. And it's like, yeah, it's just like it's not on my mind. It's just not there. I'm just doing other stuff.
Doing other stuff, busy following your own convictions.
Yeah. And that might mean like my doing myself.
Maybe raves will have sex in the metaverse and that's where they'll reproduce. Sammy. Oh, there he is. He's here.
Breyton. Welcome. Breyton's here.
Woohoo! You were worth the 24-minute wait.
I better be. I had a session that went long. What to do?
Oh, well, that's a good excuse.
That's right.
Yeah, this was
this
was an actual. This is actually, well, I still probably would have been like about 10 minutes behind, but the session did go long. I never really have excuses. It's
just life.
It's
I'm in my own time frequency. I'm correct.
Sam gave us something to talk about. We were just talking about 3420 and people's sex drives during that time. And then we were talking about Pluto moving into 60 and gate 3 and reproduction and fertility and all
that. What you got?
You know I have a hanging 3, right?
Me too.
Twice. I know you do. I know you do, but that's
so I guess there's birth control for you guys.
got a hanging 3, which it's in the 5th line, so that means that I determine the genetics. Sex is such a sex in human design context is the funniest fucking. It's like the funny. It's the funniest subject. Everybody's like, wait, I don't make that decision.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can tell you right now, the 659 does not decide who they get pregnant with. I can tell you right fucking now, it cares not at all about whether it's a healthy connection. Strictly genetic viability.
This makes me want to check what the transits were when my son was conceived.
Ah. Well, you can look at his chart, right? Just see.
No, conceived,
conceived, not born.
Not
born. Duh. Conceived. So 9 months pre-birth. Open head's back.
Open head is back.
Speak for yourselves.
Oh yeah, you're still stuck with that definition for a bit longer, huh?
Yeah, I'm 61, so.
Yep, 24.
It's okay. I love my brain system. I love being a 61, 62, but it's definitely different. Been a triple split for a while. Now I'm about to have mutation for we have it for 9 months or something like that. So it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting year. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's get into whatever we're into, which could be anything.
Could be anything, yeah. Well, I know when the 3 of us decided we were going to do this live, we were talking a lot about human design education that day. seems like a lot of people have questions, concerns, comments, all of that around human design education. So I suppose we could jump off with that and just kind of like pick your brain about how you feel about human design education, Breyton.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, I'm need motivation, so my motivation literally is education. Desire motivation is you know, it's being motivated to learn. And so is need motivation, but need motivation is transpersonal. Desire is just for their own, you know, that's just for your own, you know, you are desire. So it's just for your own learning. It's not necessarily a need to teach, even though you can. But for me, I can't even be correct without it. Not really. Not that everybody with need motivation needs to teach, but everybody with need motivation needs people to come to them for something. And, you know, in my case, I've got a lot of experience teaching, whether it's theology or how to do ambushes, or, I mean, all sorts, you know, all sorts of things. Education is important to me. You know, for the seven-centered being, the only reason my knowledge was power was because it was restricted. We're nine-centered beings. Knowledge is not restricted. I mean, you can go on YouTube, between YouTube and Google, and learn pretty much anything you want to learn. Pretty much anything you want to learn. You know, even human design resources. I mean, so much material can be found online if somebody just wants to do a Google search and actually look a little bit, you know, instead of complaining that somebody handed it to them. You know, when it comes to design, there's really no excuse. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for not having the resources, really. I mean, there's not. And that was a funny myth before I came out of obscurity and decided to fuck up this platform. That was a great myth that was there, was that you couldn't, you know, there was some paywall and you couldn't learn human design without paying X amount of dollars. And what's funny is that the other thing is that without investing in yourself, you aren't going to learn very much human design because it doesn't really matter to you, you know? Now, of course, there's exceptions, but in general, this is elitist knowledge. You have to have resources. You have to have good fortune. You have to have some privilege, you know, and that's just what it is, right? People can blame whatever they want to blame. I mean, that's the not self, is blame. I mean, that's a not self game. That's blame. You know, that's the thing about human design when it comes to education is you decide whether you want to listen to your authority or not. And your authority is going to dictate where you're going to get educated, right? I mean, I see this with the people that I educate, which is like what, 20 or more people over, you know, 3 months. They make an investment and they go with their authority. Because I'll tell you one thing, you're not going to work with me without checking in with your authority. I mean, over half my clients have triggered them at some point, including you two. I mean, it's you know, at some point I said something heretical that was like, whoa, you actually said that. You know, so people aren't going to work with me unless they check in with their authority.
Yeah.
And, you know, people want to learn stuff, and that's great. Both of you know that I want people to learn as much as they can about human design. I mean, my motivation is to empower ultimate differentiation of the other. So, you know, I want people to learn as much as they can. But there's an aspect to it that gets, there's many aspects to it that get missed. And the large one is the living it. And the living it is not the online space emulation. I mean, I've got inner vision. I can look at an account and say, yeah, I haven't even fucking gone through the experiment, let alone entered the process. And you want to give out our authority when you don't even have the ability to give the outer authority, you know? It's everybody will emulate the end result, but they won't go through the process. Not everybody will go through the process. And going through the process means a lot more than just the intellectual masturbation of taking in the info. I mean, without implementation, that's all human design is. It's just intellectual masturbation. I mean, so some of the most intellectual knowledge that is on this plane, right? And it's the only nine-centered science that is on this plane. So, you know, it's hard. It's not easy to live your type. Simple, but not easy. And everybody knows that projectors have the longest process. We have the deepest, most intellectual process. We just do. A lot of us get caught in our heads. A lot of everybody gets caught in their heads. You know, in their own ways, according to their type. And some people need to implement more tools than others. Projectors have to implement the most tools. But overall, it really, to me, it's simple, but it's not easy. And at the same time, it's not simple because I know human design on a very deep level. You know, I understand the system on a deeper level than some of my predecessors. And that's just because of my configuration, what I am and what I'm here to do. But, you know, I'm a projector. So my lifestyle is I don't initiate, I don't respond, I wait to be invited, I wait to be recognized, and wait to be invited. That's the way I live my life. That's a wrap. That's the way I live my life. And then, of course, there's the study and the preparation, just the regular projector stuff. If you're a sacral being, and you're purely sacral, you know, sacral authority, response, emotional sacral, you've got your wave, but also response, you know. Manifestors, you can't accept invitations. You've got to initiate everything. That's the way that it is. Reflectors have their own process. I never talk about the reflective process because they've got their own thing that they do that's very special. But I mean, you catch what I'm saying is that the formulas are really simple. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But implementing those formulas, that's a different story.
Question. Mm-hmm. Do we have a choice whether we implement the formulas? Because it's almost like I've heard Ra talk about this, where it's like he could give the information, right? But people can come to human design and be like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to implement all of this. But then there's a no choice aspect where you actually don't even have choice whether you're going to live your design.
So this is an interesting topic because there's two parts to it.
Yeah. You
can choose the not self world. What you can't choose is what your authority is going to do. People use no choice as a cop-out. To say that you can't make a wrong decision, fuck out of here. You can make plenty of wrong decisions if you choose not to listen to your authority. I mean, that's a cop-out. For me, as somebody who's emotional or somebody who doesn't have a sacral response, I mean, I can make a lot of bad decisions. I mean, a lot, right? If you're not listening to your authority, then I mean, because your geometry isn't to not listen to your authority. I mean, this is really simple. Your magnetic monopole is not going to not make the right decision. I mean, to say that you can't make the right decision, I mean, that you can not make the wrong decision, I mean, I can't see more of a cop-out than that. I mean, you can make the wrong decision. You know, it's very apparent when we get into profile that a third line can break the wrong bonds. I mean, you can make the wrong decision. If you're not listening to your authority, it is the wrong decision. Now, can everybody actually understand the information? We already know 4% of 4%. That's who's going to have, you know, that's who's on. I mean, there's plenty of people that are on the fractal that aren't going to differentiate because it's not their geometry. So, I mean, that's that story, but that's a different trip. As far as people that are here to be in their authority, oh, they can fuck up. Absolutely. And we all have anybody that's in their authority. Transference is a great example. Any decision that you make in transference, period, is a wrong decision. Any decision that you make in transference, because everything is distorted. Not only is the way that you're seeing it distorted, but your actual movement through time and space is distorted. So people are going to have their opinions on it, but when it comes down to the actual mechanics of the Maya, when it actually comes down to the science of the way that the monopole is moved, people can have their opinions. That's cute.
So is it almost like I'm just trying to tease this out. Is it almost like a timeline thing where you like, it just doesn't make sense to me how free will can be an illusion and yet we can make a wrong decision. It's like, what if, so is there a different timeline that if I make a wrong decision,
you're in your authority or you're not?
Yeah.
If somebody's not in the fractal to understand this knowledge, then, well, their geometry is to live in the not self world. What to do? If somebody is, their geometry is to differentiate. And if you don't listen to your authority, then yeah, you're making the wrong decision. If you listen to your authority, you're making the right decision. If you listen to your authority, there is no choice because your authority is going to move you. I mean, I'll get in my car and go to drive somewhere and end up driving somewhere else. You know, I mean, I'll go to call somewhere and I'll end up calling somewhere else. I'm not in control because I listen to I let my authority rule my life. I mean, that runs everything. My solar plexus runs everything. I do have an authority that can override me. Not everybody has an authority that can override their entire nervous system, but still, I could make a decision. I could say something, right? I could put myself around somebody that, pulls me away, pulls me into distraction. Either you listen to your authority or you don't. I mean, it's your personality that's listening to your authority. It's not your design crystal doesn't choose what your personality does. This is the thing. People don't even understand the basic mechanics of how it works between the monopole and the design crystal and the personality crystal. I mean, does your design crystal tell your mind what to think? No. Will your personality crystal try to drive? Yes. I mean, it's mechanical, but some people aren't going to like that. But I mean, if they've got a mechanical way and if they have more knowledge than me, I mean, cool, we could talk about it. But
well, I think it's maybe just like the language, because Anita made a good point. Human design doesn't make us wrong or right. It's just this or that, right? So I think it's sometimes when we're saying like, you can make wrong decisions. And the way that I've just started to have the perception of it for myself is just observing myself make these decisions, right? It's like, oh, maybe that wasn't the quote unquote best decision from my perspective. But then sometimes there's this like cascade of things that happens and my mind has this perception of like, that decision was not correct and we're not listening to your authority. But then all of this stuff happens because of it that ends up being positive in my life or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of semantics. I'm like, semantics.
Kind of. Transference and distraction, that's not semantics, that's just fact. That's just, I mean, whether you're at the capture frequency or not, I mean, if you're in transference, it'll move you away from your fractal, it'll move you out of your authority.
Yeah, I mean, I think the awareness is the key to all of this, right? It's like, I have the awareness to see when I'm in my transference and just hold off on even making decisions if I feel myself in my transference. And that's just something that I've watched start happening for myself. It's like, my lifestyle is completely different now because I wait and I take my time and I just don't move quickly through life like I used to,
Yeah, I mean, I remember when innocence was your thing.
Well, when I was like in the clouds.
I mean, I was the one that shattered that. I mean, I was the one that shattered you into desire.
100%. Credit where credit is due.
It is about awareness, but it's the thing is until somebody's in form principle, the semantics don't matter because they're not even in their authority enough to understand it.
Yeah.
So why go farther? why does it even fucking matter at that point? Like if you haven't even gotten to form principle and you're thinking about choice or no choice, that's a mind shit. That's mind shit. You know, if you are
because
in form principle, it's different. Exactly. If you're in form principle, it's different. I mean, what I say right now, this is all coming either through my channel of inspiration or channel of awakening. And I don't have control over either of those. I'm just watching. I got my own inner commentary and everything going on right now. I don't have any control because I live form principle. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say. I live life existentially, I mean, for the most part. And so it's just going to come out. Whatever it is, it's just going to come out. And because whatever is just going to come out is correct. Doesn't matter how people feel about it. Doesn't matter whose feelings it hurts. It's going to empower some people. If I empower one person and 70 get pissed at me, well, fucking keep throwing projections, bro. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. You know, I mean, I'm not, I'm here to empower. I'm not here to share or support. And so even if it's that one person, then that's good for me. But I'm not in control of who that person is. I'm not in control of that at all. Any immersion that I hold or any session that I have or any mentoring client that I have, my form is going to take care of the work. It's going to, you know, it's going to inspire. It's going to awaken. It's going to emote. And I don't have any control over how it does that. That's the difference. Yeah. People think they have control over it. They'll look and they'll be like, oh, this is conscious, this is unconscious. It doesn't fucking matter if you live form principle because you're not in control of it anyways. You know, and it's form principle is I mean, it takes time to get there. It's easier if you're right totally fixed, but overall, it takes time to get there for anybody. You know, and until you get there, human design is. I mean, just living by strategy and authority is going to change anybody's life immensely. It's going to remove the resistance through time and space. It is going to be life-changing for anybody. Going farther into differentiation, that's what we're talking about when we talk about form principle. It's very different. So yeah, I mean, I want to kind of, you know, put those two in their own, you know, their own places because those are two very different points in time, you know.
Yeah.
Both are the process, but two very different, you know, points in time. And it all comes down to education and operating correctly. I mean, if you're not, I mean, of course, it's going to depend on the person. It's going to depend on the configuration. But if you have self-projected channels, but you stifle your voice, how are you going to learn? How you know, if you're not self-projecting, how's your truth going to come out? How are you going to learn? It's not going to work.
So can the mind like stifle that from happening?
If you're really incorrect, yeah. I mean, the self-projected channel it's a mechanism. It's not biological. It's actually a mechanism. So can't even control it. That's what I think is fucking hilarious when people are watching me or when I'm making you know, when I'm going live or something. It's just a mechanism. So if I say fuck off, I mean that's a mechanism of my truth. If I say I'm a heretic, if I say I'm a pure individual, if I say any of the things that piss people off because they're not what I am, then I mean it's a mechanism. You know, that's all it is. And the mind, yeah, absolutely. If the mind's driving, then how is the monopole going to be correct? Because the monopole is not at the right frequency, so you're not moving correctly through time and space. So, yeah.
I like that you brought up frequency because that's a big thing with it too. Is, you know, the frequency. I think a lot of us but it's helpful. I hope that everybody remembers that human design is a cellular transformation. And so as all these things are kind of working through us and as our, you know, mechanics we're witnessing things, like things are actually changing inside of us. Like, it's not just like you read a book and you get some information, like it changes your entire being.
And you have to have somebody put that in you. Here's the thing that people
Yes.
don't
Yes.
You can read all the books you want. I mean, I have people in immersion. They read a bunch of books for years. They go through a few immersions with me. Everything changes because I have it in my cells. I put it into their cells. It's good conditioning, whatever. That's what I do. Every time I listen to a raw lecture, it's good conditioning. It's conditioning. You know,
Yep.
but without that, without somebody that has it in their cells, it doesn't matter. You know, that's what's funny is, you know, people will go to, you know, some sort of a training or this or that or whatever. Like human design is a tool. Human design is not a tool. And if you think it's a tool, you don't fucking get it. It's not a tool. It's a science. I mean, you could use it in a sense in that, you know we've got different types and, you know, to respond, give these people invitations, you know, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, without somebody putting it in your cells, and some people have this capability more than others. Me, I'm a conditioner. That's what I do. That's what my configuration does. You know, that's what I do. I'm not, you know, some people are transmitters. Some people are organizational beings. You know, we're all different. But without a conditioner putting that into you, there's not going to be much of a change. I mean, you're going to go through, you could still go through the cellular process of the 7-year cycle, and that is going to change your life, and you can still be in strategy and authority. But when you have somebody that has the lived experience and is operating at the frequency in their design crystal and the frequency in their personality crystal, and they're a conditioner, and they put that into yourselves, it does something to you. You both know. I've done it to both of you.
Yep.
It does something to you. And I mean, and what's funny about it is that I don't fucking know I'm going to do it necessarily. I mean, now I've done it enough times that I know it's just going to happen, but I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what's going to happen. No conditioner does. But we know that that's part of the process. That's part of people getting somewhere. Reading is not going to do it. I mean, listening to raw lectures is going to, that's definitely going to give it to you, because I mean that's source frequency. But at the same time, we're not just here to listen to audios. We're here to be in a form, have experiences, and we literally need each other. It's funny because it's, you know, human design, enlightened selfishness, right? It's about you, but at the same time, you can't get anywhere without other people. This thing.
Oh yeah, we've both learned that 100%. It was like I hit a wall.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And there are times too where people will have like be triggered by something or an interaction with somebody, you know, and I see this a lot in human design. I see this outside of human design too.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at how things are a frequency, and it kind of like pierces their frequency that they're conditioned by with something new, and it shakes you up. It can physically affect you. You could physically have pain in your body.
Oh yeah.
You could physically have things like panic attacks. You could physically have pain in places, and because it's piercing through at a cellular level.
Mm-hmm.
Of cosmology and
yeah. Did you see my reel? Did you see my reel today?
Was it about that?
Yeah, my reel where I held up living your design, and it was like,
oh yeah.
it was rave cosmology in the
I
back.
remember when I told Teresa, take it slow.
Nobody
ever listens to me. When you're in bed for 3 hours because you just took in some.
I listened to you.
Oh, did you?
I did. I mean, there was one point, I think you saved me from that actually, because I texted you a screenshot of like listening to some rave psychology, and you were like, how much have you been listening to? And I'm like an hour and a half. You're like, you're done. I was like, okay, I'll put it away.
You're done.
I was already like spinning out a little bit, even 90 minutes in. So,
I mean, the knowledge is dense. It's like that.
Yep.
It's not. I mean, now, granted, there's a lot of really good content out there that is, you know, on social media. A lot of great integration content, visual content. There's a bunch of it, but you know, it's not Center's posts. It's not Gates posts. And you know, this isn't me being a hater. This is just the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Just the facts from somebody who conditions and educates. That's what I do. And Gate posts and Center's posts is not going to get you anywhere in this knowledge. Pick up the black book, see how your brain's doing after a few hours. You know, it's just, you got to invest in yourself. You got to invest in your education in many ways, you know, whether it's learning through somebody who actually has a lived experience and actually can put the frequency in you, like me, through mentorship or teaching. The traditional foundational route is always, I mean, I think everybody should do foundation if you really want to get into human design. If you really want to live, your type, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, foundation was put together by Ra himself so that every type could go through three different, semesters that were foundational, that were not, not at the professional level, and understand what they needed to understand in order to live their type. I mean, Ra put it together himself. And that education it's less than any reader training I've ever seen. And there's more education than almost every reader training I've ever seen. So
and you can get the manuals. Like I have
you could just buy the manuals for
$150. You can get
$150.
the manuals right off of Human Design America. They might even be PDF somewhere online if cost is a barrier,
Yeah. I mean, and even the manuals, I mean, we're talking like $40 to $50, per manual for all of, so $150, $200, you have the same manuals that we would use there. I mean, you're not going to get the verbal transmission, but there's different routes somebody could go. Somebody could be a projector and they want to do the foundation and they want to do immersion because they're a projector. Cool. You got a verbal transmission and you just got some foundational knowledge. I mean, however, somebody's authority goes through it, it's however somebody's authority, goes through it. I have people that will, they'll invite me to do mentoring for them. And I say, do foundation first, then come see me. You're not,
I mean,
where you can handle what I'm going to do, what I'm going to put in you.
I thought I knew a lot about human design before I took the foundation. And then the foundation classes schooled the fuck out of me, especially rave cartography. I remember texting you.
Cartography.
Holy shit.
Cartography.
It's so valuable.
Yeah.
That's the original analyst program was cartography. And then Ra realized that it was going to take essentially strategic beings at least 3.5 years to decondition, to be existential, because it's not easy for them. It's not as easy as us being right tonally fixed, where we're just kind of predisposed to surrender and we're like, oh cool, I'm just gonna listen to my body. I mean, it's a lot easier for us, than it is for them. So to make it so that it was, for everybody, it was, we made it 3.5 years. Because originally it was just cartography. It was like a year. And then there was all these, it was the same problem we see today. Even though they were professionally trained through cartography, that was the original analyst school. It was like, you don't know how to give out our authority because you haven't disabled your mind and you're trying to give out our authority. You can't give a foundation reading if you haven't disabled your mind. You can't, period. That's just the way that it is. You can't, you just can't. Sam says, word strategic, almost 3 years in, see everything so differently. Yeah.
See, and there's differentiation too between, being right and being left in education and how we kind of take it in and how it's designed and all. There's so many different options. Like you don't have to go to IHDS.
No.
But so it's important to, look at all the options and follow your strategy and authority to find the education that's right for you. Do you want to talk about rightness in school, Breyton?
So here's something that's actually that I find pretty funny is how many people that are right that actually go to professional school as opposed to people that are strategic. Because that's the right that suffers in school. But it's easier for us to learn nine-centered science than the way that strategic school is set up. I'm quite the heretic, direct and overt challenge to norms, right? Commitment to higher principles, and that there's certain things that I just won't do. In professional school, I just won't do it. I don't recommend this for anybody because if you don't have my configuration, you're not me, so don't try to do what I do. But I don't do study groups. The only assignments that I do are like what I have to absolutely do, which is just synthesis, whatever. Every analyst needs no synthesis. Every rave psychologist needs no synthesis, but yeah, it's, if you're right, you have to be existential, you have to be present. As long as you're existential and you're present, you don't need anything else. You don't need, you know, I don't remember the last time I wrote something down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the last time that I actually wrote, like picked up a pen and like wrote something down.
Mm-hmm.
It's all there. I don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing, this strategic, they have all these steps. Strategic being, the nine center being is fundamentally receptive. So the first step in human design is disabling the mind. So it's the same for whether you are receptive or strategic. First, disable the mind, use your authority, right? The strategic, it's whatever hooks their focus. The receptive, it's taking in, staying existential. These are, to simplify what the learning processes are. Strategic, they have all of these steps because school is tonally left. Now, human design education that is from Jovian, from the founding organization, is still very accommodating to the right being. When I look outside of Jovian, where people educate on either human design or what they associate as human design, it's so tonally left. It's interesting to see the lack of understanding between the actual founding organization and then people that have been educated at the founding organization and those that haven't. It just educationally. This isn't overall, but it was just something that because I was in school. I was in school when I came onto Instagram and saw everything that was going on. I was like, holy fuck, like, what is going on? Anybody that's teaching everything is tonally left, and I started. I was ready to set things on fire, and I did set things on fire. And part of that was heavily because I'm at the founding organization going to school, and they're not putting me in a box to be left. And these are people that have been in their process. These are people that actually know human design. I mean, beyond analyst school, beyond even, beyond being a professional. I mean, these are people that actually know, the graduate, the PhD level, and they're not putting me, they're not forcing me to be tonally left or forcing anybody to be tonally left. But people that are not even at the professional level are charging people to be tonally left, essentially. And what that's doing, and this is a massive difference. When you're getting educated and you're carrying out tasks that are tonally left, it kills your cognition, kills all your gifts, kills everything, all of it. So the person that's educating you is actually hurting you, and this is the fact. Somebody that's educating you and you're receptive and they're not doing that, they're not forcing you to be tonally left. They're allowing your cognition to come through. They're allowing you to take things in through your cognition. They're contributing to your process of becoming more receptive, of having stronger cognition, of being able to, I can look at something and see what's inside it. I can, and my inner vision is spooky. It's very, very spooky. Now it's gone to that level for many reasons, but if I went some route that was tonally left, as far as my cognition has come, it would start to go away. And that's what we're here to be, is aware. And through the official channels, or people that have gone through the official channels for education at any level, whether they've only done foundation, or whether they've done analyst school, or whether they've done living your design guide training, the frequency that's been put into your cells is different. And the way that you're going to work with people, because you have that in your cells, is going to be different. And, when we talk about frequency in human design, this isn't some woo-woo magical thinking. We're talking about the dark matter crystal that is what you think you are, right? Your personality dark matter crystal, that's, you know, your design crystal. We're talking about the frequency, the inner frequency from the neutrino stream that's in there, and the exit frequency from the neutrino stream that's in there. We're not talking about some magical thinking woo-woo idea. We're talking about dark matter, you know. And so, you know, in that context, information doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean anything. It's what's going into your cells. It's who has the ability to put it in there, who has the ability, and who has the ability to support, share, or empower you in what your design is. You know, I'm a 2-4. When I did my foundation, my teacher knew that I'm a 2-4. I don't want to study. That's not my thing. I mean, you know, I'm going to show up when I show up, and I'm quad right, whatever. And, you know, I did my final synthesis, for Brave ABCs and cartography. I did my final synthesis like 3 weeks after it was due. I have the channel of emoting. I'm a pure individual. She's not going to be like, you know, I'm not tribal or collective. Like, well, I want to get it done with everybody, you know, and I'm not an in the moment person. I did it when I did it. And I didn't get one email. I didn't get one, you know, it was, hey, Breyton, turn this in whenever your authority, you know, gets you to that point. I mean, you don't get that very many places. And, you know, it's not the, you know, Jovian licensed routes are the only route or anything like that. You know, I don't have any, you know, I'm not a LYD teacher. I'm not a PTL teacher. What I teach is different. What I teach is very different. It's not what they teach in Jovian schools, in the sense that it's not, you know, geared towards receptors or geared towards projectors. You know, so it's not. But I have professional education. I have source education. I have the frequency in my cells to transmit it, to put it into somebody's cells. This is the difference. So I think it's important to just look at what the background is of whoever it is that you're going to learn from. What's the background? I mean, I've seen some fucking pretty erroneous claims from people, you know, like that they know BG5, but I don't see the BG5 seal on their website that's required by BG5 to actually have that on your website, their seal. You know, it's like, but why didn't you just say that you went to BG5 school? You know, there's very few, and the thing is I mean, the community is small. I mean, it's not small. There's thousands of us that go to professional school. Both of you, me, you know, there's a lot of us internationally, right? But it's still small enough that we know who's emulating something that they didn't do, and who's actually doing something or has done, you know, has put in the work. You know, I just think it's important that people put in the work, that they get the conditioning that they need, the integration that they need, before they do anything in human design, if that's what they want to do. And, you know, it's also important that if, you know, somebody just wants to learn, that they put in the work they need, get the conditioning that they need and the learning they need from somebody that has already. Otherwise, you're throwing money down the drain, you're throwing resources down the drain, you're throwing time down the drain, you're killing your own cognition, you're getting mixed up, you're getting confused because you're not getting the conditioning that you need and the learning that you need. And, you know, on a professional level, I mean, human design this isn't a side hustle. Mm-hmm. Either you're going to do it and it's your profession, or you're not. You know, I mean, and both of you are involved in multi-modalities. You're both healers, but you got the education, and human design is something that you do. It's you live. You both live as generators.
How we live.
You know, it's how you live your life. Plus, you have the education. It's not like, you know, even though you do other things, it's not a side hustle for you. You know what I mean? It's you're committed. It's a lifetime commitment to go to that level. It's a lifetime commitment to get that education level and then to practice it. It really is. It's that it isn't. They're not even close to form principle, because once you're in form principle, you don't have a fucking choice. And if you go to professional school and you're in form principle, and you start doing human design, like as on the material plane, you know, as a profession, it's gonna take something for your vehicle to stop doing that, because that means that you're part of the 4% of the 4% that's supposed to do it, right? So, yeah, education.
Yeah, there's some comments, and I want to say too that I think I've said this before in a live, but listening to you and Sam on that podcast and about your rightness and how you were in school gave me something to respond to. That school, like, because I had been kind of mulling over foundation classes, but I was afraid it was too left. Oh, where'd Breyton go? He'll come back. Anyway, Breyton's it was like the thing I needed to respond to, more information that I needed to get a clear yes to going to school, because that was something I was kind of afraid of, is learning very left, because I don't do well with that.
Yeah.
And there's some like chatter in the comments, and none of this is saying that right is better than left or anything like that. It's like we need the left people. Left people help me so much.
Oh yeah.
It's just incredible when everybody understands differentiation and understands and honors, you know, rightness and leftness as we're honoring each other's strategies and authorities.
Or even like without Jonah Dempsey's YouTube channel, I would not have integrated human design like I have. I binged his like whole channel, and I think his only right arrow is his environment arrow. Right. But the way that he explains human design, it like I can take it in, you know? And there's something about the way that left people teach that it does resonate with me. I mean, it depends on the person, I guess. It's all fractal things, but yeah, the left draws things out of us that we didn't even know. I have no idea what's inside of me. I have no idea. When I'm talking to somebody who's left and they're drawing things out of me,
there's Breyton.
It's just such an interesting, cool experience.
Yeah, my first encounter with a human design reader was Sam, and she's quad left. And and her knowing that I was my right, and she would just pull and pull and pull, and I was like, this is incredible. What I was saying when you were gone, Breyton, was that that podcast basically gave me the more information I needed to get a clear sacral yes to take classes, because hearing about your rightness and in school, in that we need it's important to understand the differentiation with rightness and leftness and honor that like we do each other's strategy and authority.
Yeah, it was weird. There was like a question, and it was like I couldn't exit out of the question, and so I couldn't see the comments, so I get back in. But what was funny is as I went out, I was still watching.
Weird. I thought you just went through a portal.
Maybe I did. I mean, who knows? I'm all right at anything.
Portal diving.
And that's one thing I want to touch on too real quick, is that rightness. And I think that well, for me, it's and I feel this a lot in the human design community with people who are right. When we start to like plunge into human design information, it's not just like we're gathering knowledge. It's like what it is for me is I'm connecting with something that understands how I am and how I don't think linearly on a linear line, and how I don't operate normally. And it's like this thing that's like, it gets me, even though it's a very left thing.
Yeah. I want to touch on that, but I also wanted to touch on the left and the right.
Oh yeah.
I was watching that. So pretty soon here, the top right and the top left quadrant are getting cut out from the program. There will not be crossover variables in the future. There's only going to be the most left and the most right. And the numbers for projectors are the most left and the most right. I mean, there's an increase. And the reason why, I mean, one is a tool and one's a resource. And this is ultimately going to decide what happens with the species, is how well that works together. This is the whole thing for people. I mean, the whole thing about being right. I mean, the fact of the matter is, YouTube, for instance, 20, 30 years from now, if there's no internet, who's gonna teach people how to be healers? It's gonna be YouTube. It's gonna be people that are right. There's no. I mean, I'm gonna have a lot of data, but my data is not that. That's not the data that I'm gonna have. It's interesting because we have to have this knowledge pulled from us in some cases. Other cases we don't. But the fact of the matter is whether somebody is left or whether they're right, they're going to need the right, because that's where the information is going to be. And if somebody's right, they're going to need to get that information pulled from them in order to watch things come to fruition, in order to watch. You don't know what you are. You don't know the depth that you have, the gift that you have, until it starts getting pulled from you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. And the right has a I mean, the right does not love itself. There's not because then the reason why is because it's transitional into something that is immensely transpersonal. I mean, we are very transpersonal. Both of you are the variable right before mine. The right doesn't know what it is, because that's not the point when you're right. When you have right tonal fixing, when you have a right brain, a right mind, the point is to take in. And the more right that you are, the more it is just to take in. It's funny because, I mean, we've all been in a penta together, right? Mm-hmm. And what happens? I become the spokesperson, right? Because I've got a healthy. So I start saying everything that both of you are thinking.
Yeah.
I become the spokesperson. It's no longer just about me, right? And we're designed for pentas. I mean, the right is designed for pentas because the evolutionary movement is going towards the rave. And that's that subject. But it's the right is very much needs each other, and the left very much needs the right, and the right very much needs the left, in order to have that pulled and for them to see the beauty that's inherent in them. But the fact of the matter is that it's going to the future is going to be reliant on having beings that are strategic, that know how to ask questions, and that are correct in a 9-centered way of being strategic, which is not the 7-centered way of being strategic. Mm-hmm. 7-centered way of being strategic is very, very, very different. And that's what a lot of strategic beings think that they are. When one of my favorite lectures is Beginning Without Intent. It's one of the most heretical lectures from Ra. Mm-hmm. And he says, I'm a true 9-centered being. I'm purely existential. What and who else is purely existential? Who has the gift to become purely existential much faster? The right. Mm-hmm. So a 9-centered strategic being is not a being that sets out all of these plans to do something. A 9-centered strategic being is a being that lives existentially and allows their focus to get grabbed, uses their focus, uses their skills, and is a tool. So, when we talk about the strategic mind, we're not talking about the 7-centered being. We're talking about the 9-centered being, and that operates entirely different. So, that's something I want to touch on. And Brandy, what were you talking about? You were talking about taking in. This kind of it's not a sidebar, but it's something that's interesting. I'll have clients whose children are very right, that are 3 parts right or are quad right. It's like the kid just sits and watches YouTube, and it's on Google, and for hours and hours and hours, and da da da. And I'm like, so that's what your kid's designed to do. Your kid is designed to take in. You stop doing that, you restrict that, you're forcing that child to be something that they're not. Mm-hmm. Like, sorry, fuck society's rules on electronics, but I mean, that's the best thing that you can. I mean, I'm so grateful to have the mother that I have, because that's all I did when I was a kid. I mean, I tested out of school, and then that was all I did. I was just on Google, I was reading, I was just taking things in. That's what I did, because I mean, school was boring. I mean, it's just a homogenization machine.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a factory to make you a worker bee, and my mom wasn't about that anyways. So, you know, I just sat there and I took in, and I learned.
Yeah.
And you know, you could see it in a lot of you can see it in a lot of people that aren't even in design. You know, I mean, I'll just put a lot of celebrities, for instance, should go to school. They just learn on their own, and they use whatever their skills were. This is the right. The right doesn't. I mean, you know, the difference is that the right just needs to watch. We're here to watch. We're here to take in. And as long as we watch and we take in, we can learn something. You know, the right, the kid that's right watches the kid that's strategic get explained all the steps of crossing the street. The kid that's right watches that happen, and they know how to cross the street.
Mm-hmm.
This is just what it is to be right. But you sit there and you explain the kid that's right those steps. It's going to confuse us. It's going to put us under. It's going to stress us out. I mean, this is why I can't get stuff from like IKEA or anywhere. I got to put something.
I was
together.
just gonna say.
I look at the fucking instructions,
Dude.
and I get so. I mean, you know, I'm getting new furniture right now, and I'm like, what can I buy? You know, whatever it is, I need to pay for them to come assemble it and everything. Because if I got to look at the fucking instructions, and yet I took in seven lectures of cosmology.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, last time that I was in cosmology, 7 lectures with Intervision. Just did it. But you give me fucking instructions on how to put together, you know, a fucking desk, and it's.
Yeah,
I feel under pressure. I'm stressed out. I start getting anxiety. You know, like I get more anxiety than when I'm getting shot at.
Check out the company article. They deliver the furniture fully together. So that's what I did when we moved in. I was like, I need everything to already be together.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
The only time my husband and I fight.
Delivered it full, and I was like, okay. The boxes were fucking huge, like the desk and the armoire and the credenza and all that. And I was like, just set it up, or just put it there, and it was done. And I was like, this is so fucking satisfying.
Yeah.
That's literally the only time my husband and I fight is when we're trying to build furniture together, because we're both 3 parts right, and we just can't. And it's like frustration nation. But I just I'm like, I'm getting out of here. Your third line can tinker with all this shit. Like.
Oh yeah. You can. Yeah, the third lines they can sort it out.
Yeah, they can sort it out. I just need to get out of his way at that
2
point.
4s, yeah. Fuck. A 2-4 trying to learn something that they're not automatically good at. Like, are you
No.
Okay,
yeah,
I have to hop off. I have to go pick up Weston. I'm still going to be on listening. I'm going to put my earbuds in, but I'm going to get off video. So.
Okay, cool. Breyton, do you want to answer some of these questions?
If I can.
I can pull them up for you.
Yeah, you can pull them up for me.
Okay, let's go through these. Okay, here's a good one. How do you see yourself as a second line profile?
You don't.
You don't. We're both 2-4s. You don't.
Yeah.
I need other people to tell me what they see and call me out.
Yeah, you don't get to do that as a 2-4, and that's a protectionary measure, because if you could see yourself as a 2-4, you'd see all your gifts, and that would be a recipe for disaster.
We'd be even more cocky then.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this comfortableness in our own skin. You know, the 2-4 has just this comfortableness in their own skin that other people can't. You know, I actually have to tell my clients this, because it looks like it's so easy for me because I'm a 2-4.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's natural for me. You know, I can get whether it's a conference giving a lecture, or it's an immersion, or a partnership session, or whatever it is. I can just, I don't even need to look at the body graph until it's right in front of me. Boom, I got it. I'm a 2-4. I'm natural at design, and I could just do it.
Yeah.
My process, I got a lot of internal conflict. I've gone through it. It doesn't look like that. It looks like it's been easy for me. No, it hasn't been easy for me. And you know what's funny is I never even know how I do when I do something. I mean, I remember asking you at the conference, was like, how was the lecture? Like, because I don't fucking know. And then people are coming, oh, it was really, really good, you know. Same thing after classes, I'll get, you know, after an immersion, I'll get an email, like, with recognition. But as soon as I'm done with it, I'm like, fuck.
Same.
I don't know how that went. And, you know, I mean, some immersions are more intense than others. I mean, some it's just, okay, I'm going to shatter all 10 of you. You know, that's just what's going to happen. And it's not something that I make a decision. It's that I sit down and my form is like, oh, okay, today's a shattering day. And then some days it's different, you know, some days it's different. And shattering isn't that it's not empowerment, because it is. You're breaking down the stuff that's holding somebody back, but it's just a different type. And on those times, I end those immersions, or I end those classes, or I end those sessions, and I'm like, did I go too far? Like, literally, I mean, I'm like, did I go too far? Did I, you know? And then I get recognition after, and I'm like, whoa. And it's, you know, it's just trusting him. You can't see yourself as a second line. You don't even know. I mean, I remember when I pulled up my numbers, just my analytics, and I saw my reach was like 30 to 40,000 people, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I had no idea. No clue. I mean, I wouldn't even think, I mean, I got to ask people, hey, what do you see here? Because I can see things for other people as a second one, but you can't see anything when it comes to yourself. And that protects you.
Right.
You know, it's a protectionary measure. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Yeah.
For sure. All right, next question. How can you differentiate that thinking about HD schooling, or the only way to be the 4% of the 4% is through schooling?
That's mind stuff right there. Use your
Yes.
authority.
Yeah, authority. Yeah, using your, because you might still be the 4% of the 4%, but not go through schooling
Yeah.
if your authority isn't a yes to it.
You're really only going to, well, the thing is unless your intention is really to only go through foundation, you're not going to go to professional school. Trust me. It's hard. It's not fucking easy, and it's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a long time. It's 4 years. I mean, it's not easy. So everybody can go to, I recommend that everybody goes to foundation. If you actually want to live your type, just go, so that you know enough about human design, you know enough about your type. I mean, at least do living your design in Rate ABCs. At the very least, do living your design, you know, and if you can. I mean, if not, just get the manuals. But, you know, schooling farther than that, do you want that to be your profession for the rest of your life? Because if not, it's not for you.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right now, it's not for you. So, I mean, it doesn't really, you know, at that point, it's use your authority to say, am I going to go to get formal general education? Because that's what foundation is. Am I going to do that? Or am I not? You know, and it doesn't, whether you do or you don't, that's not a qualifier. You don't know, you know, and none of us know, but, you know, it's, a lot of it comes down to your own correctness. And I think if there's anything that's going to let you know that you're going to differentiate fully, it's how correct you are. You know, if you actually listen to your authority, or if you're just taking in data, you know, there's a large difference. You know, you can, I mean, sacral beings are my favorite example, because sacral beings wake up like that. I could do 1-2 sessions with a sacral being. They're out of they're out of transference. They're in their sacral response, like boom. I don't have to do, you know, multiple sessions and an immersion like I do with the projector to really, because our process is very intellectual. Sacral beings are my favorite example, because sacral beings can become correct so fast. Like, sacral beings just wake up. Like, it's beautiful. They just wake up. And once, you know, that happens, they're in their sacral response. They don't necessarily need to go learn more about human design if they're in their sacral. I mean, if they want to, you know, but that's not the point necessarily, unless that is the point for you, unless that's what you're drawn to. But to contemplate whether or not that's what you should do for whatever reason, that's a mental decision. So, I mean, authority. And now, granted, we all make mental decisions. I mean, fucking happens.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when it comes to something that's kind of, I mean, it's not like foundation is serious, but you don't want to push yourself. I mean, you're going to learn a lot. I mean, you know, it's not, going to foundation isn't the same as going to analyst school or going to cosmologist school or anything like that. It's not, you're not changing your career.
Yeah.
Just something.
Yeah. I mean, it's like going to college. So it's an investment of time and money and all the things. So if you're not serious about it, I can't see anybody who like isn't serious about turning it into a career, wanting to invest that much in it. But,
Mm-hmm.
all right, let's see what else we got. Oh. How about being a generator here to know thyself, but is receptive? Well, it's a paradox, like everything in life seems to be, right? We're here for the other, but we're here to know ourselves as generators. What do you think about that, Breyton?
Well, I'm a pure individual. I'm very interested in myself. I'm more interested in myself than most, and I'm a second line. I'm very, very interested in myself, but I get to know myself through the other. If you're receptive, you're going to get to know yourself through what's pulled from you. That's how you're going to get to know yourself, is by being a resource.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, the more right you are, the more profound that's going to be. And that's not to say that one is better than the other. I mean, if you're quad right, literally, you're only you're here to just be a data bank, just to be. I mean, for the right as a whole, we're here to be resources. I mean, especially the tonally fixed, right? The bottom right quadrant, which I'm pretty sure that's what you're in, Sarah, is the bottom right quadrant with me and Teresa. You're here to be a resource, and you're going to learn that through people pulling from you, just like you're going to learn how to love yourself through people pulling from you. You don't, I mean, as right beings do not love themselves until they do that. Mm-hmm. We don't. It's just pain before that. The more right you are, the more pain it is, but it's pain nonetheless. Not that one's, you know, better than the other or anything like that. It's just that, you know, like me, for instance, I'm 4 parts not human. You get into the source material, I'm 4 parts not human. I'm not even, I am what's coming in a different form. You put my architecture into a rave body, that's what I am. You put it into this transitional 9-centered human body, that's what I am. So I'm technically just in a different bioform, right? But the way that I get to know myself is through what's pulled from me, even though the entire point of my existence is to be a resource, to teach, to, you know, that's how I learn what I am. Any right being, that's how you're going to learn who you are, whether you're a projector, you know, no matter what, no matter who you are. I mean, no matter what the type is, manifestors is going to be a little bit different. But, you know, the transpersonal cabal, which is projectors and generators, because the other 2 types, they do their own thing. They're not part of the transpersonal cabal. They don't need each other. They're not in, you know, sense they're not symbiotic. So if you're a generator or you're a projector, you're going to learn who you are either way through the other, either way. I mean, even if you are a generator, I mean, you are here to know yourself and be interested in yourself, you know, even more so than I am, and I'm very interested in myself. I mean, I'm very interested in myself as a pure individual. But, you know, it's to be right is to be very transpersonal. By nature, we are very transpersonal, no matter what our profile is. I mean, it's just there. Like, we had a 1-3 in our penta, right? We had Diana was in our penta. I mean, a 1-3 is, they're going to do their own thing. Mm-hmm. But still very transpersonal, right? Tonally fixed. So I would just say that.
Yep. Fascinating. Yeah, Kiara made an interesting comment about how, like, when you live your design, there's no paradox, and that is true. It's like it's harder for the mind to wrestle out this stuff than it is for the person to actually just live their design. And even you know, when you're doing chart analysis, like sometimes my mind is like, how does this work together? But for the person, it just works perfectly. It just is what it is, right? They just live it. Um, so yeah, my mind thinks everything's a paradox though. My mind's like, how can there be passenger consciousness, but we're making decisions? It's just, it just doesn't make any sense to my mind, but I'm just living it out, you know?
Every configuration is unique. I mean, use MMI, you can see the color imprinting down to the percentage. I mean, you can, you know, I got asked about twins the other day, and I was like, well, it can change within a minute. One is delivered before the other one, you know? So we're all very different. And, you know, I've got clients, I mean, look at, you know, raw is desire, motivation, but personal view.
Same.
Clients that yeah, there you go. Yeah, personal view. I have clients that are innocence, motivation, but power view.
Right. It's like, how does that work it out? But it does. It's so interesting to witness myself being both of those at once and just being like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, where it works out. It's all perfect. Every design is perfect.
Yeah. It's perfect. I'm trying to see if there's anything in here that we haven't already answered just by like jamming out. This one's just kind of funny, I guess. How did you fuck up human design on Instagram, Breyton?
Came in with source material. And I started universalizing what wasn't human design. You know, I have that. If I got a fifth color body, I can do that. If I got a 10.5 in exaltation, I can do that. The fifth lines get pretty. You know, it's half the fifth lines love me, and half the fifth lines can't stand me because they're so attached to their heretic personality construct, but they don't do anything heretical. Now, the exception is the 10.5 is in detriment because they always get burned at the stake. But the rest of them, you know, they don't even behave like heretics. I'm fixed in heretical behavior. That's part of what I am. And so I can't go anywhere without directly and overtly challenging the norm. This is what I'm designed to do. And the line is the heretic, direct and overt challenges to norms. The design of, you know, I mean, it's mechanically, that's what I'm going to do. And I had already been in professional school, and then I show up, I get on Instagram, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And so all I had to do was just universalize truth. And the thing is that if there was somebody that was on this platform that was at the level that I am at, I probably wouldn't have to do that at the level that I did, but there wasn't. And also the configuration that I have, that's just going to happen. I mean, Toby, you're a fifth color body, need motivation as well. I mean, look, you naturally kind of have to. Me, I mean, I'm an emoting projector. I'm a pure individual. Everything is going to be extreme. And I'm here to shatter. I'm here to condition in good ways. And when you do that, it starts to have an impact. And it's one person at a time. So it's one session at a time, one class at a time. And then eventually, people start to pick it up. Things start changing. Content starts changing. I mean, I made raw quotes cool. I mean, it's, you know, I made source material cool. I made being right cool. I mean, there was no talk of that until I came on, and that just fucked everything up because everybody's like, wait, what's being right, receptive? What oh, wait, Ra's not a misogynist. Ra didn't say that. Ra's not this. Oh, wait. Oh, the school isn't a paywall or you know, and I came on and just, here's the truth. I universalize the truth. And it's not necessarily that it's everybody's truth, right? It's the truth through my configuration, but I'm a probability view projector with need motivation, which means you're going to get a lot of facts from me. And when somebody does that and nobody else is willing to do that or has the knowledge to do that, it disrupts things. I'm designed to disrupt. I'm designed to shatter, to condition, to empower, to mutate. So that's what I do. That's what I did. It wasn't something that I came on and I was like, I'm going to change all of this. It was something that just started happening. And then I was like, oh, well, what to do? This is what I'm going to do then, I guess, because, well, I'm in my authority. I'm a product of form principle, so I don't have a choice in it. I know my configuration. You know, it's, yeah, I really did fuck up this platform in that sense. And, you know, it's not a, it's not, something where I'm holy or something I'm special. I got pulled into this body by a design crystal while I was in a personality crystal bundle, and fuck, here I am, living it out. I'm just not, now I do love myself. I do hold myself in high regard. I do respect my configuration. I love my configuration. I don't downplay the things that I do. I did change things. I do mutate things. I do help people. I do empower people. I do have a large impact with my configuration. I do. But at the same time, this is just what I'm here to live out. I'm not any more special or unique than anybody else. It's just my role to play in the movie. That's it. So yeah, that's how I did it.
It's quite a movie to watch.
Yep.
The movie to watch. I mean, I've just noticed like the quality of content on Instagram, at least from and maybe that's just because I'm consuming people who are living it more than I used to be when I first came into consuming Instagram content. It just felt like a lot of like regurgitated, just surface level stuff before, and now I'm seeing a lot more like lived experience shared. So I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's easier for my undefined solar plexus to be more vulnerable, when I'm not having to just regurgitate, because I was like, you feel this, I felt this mental pressure to like post about gates and post about whatever channels and centers and I remember I did one post, it was like about the sacral sounds, and then I was like, that's enough. That's
enough educating.
Yeah. And then I started responding to reels, and I was like, I'm just doing my own fucking thing, whatever. We all just do our own thing.
Oh, my mind tries to pressure me to make like educational content, like the stuff that Amy Ruth makes that is amazing and
incredible.
And I'm like, why would I make that when she does it really well and I can just reshare it? And I'm here to share about my personal view of things. It's like, I'm more just like to share my lived experience, like what I'm going through.
And she's a fifth color body need motivation transmitter.
Yeah, that's literally her design. I'm like, I'm not gonna make myself do that. That's cute, mind. That's really cute that you think you need to do that.
Exactly. I mean, I put out a live or a post like 2 times a month now.
I noticed that you've been doing it way less.
It's all just it's all the polls.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point in form principle where I even if I'm like feeling creative, even if I'm feeling like I've got some ideas or anything, if my body doesn't move me to do it, it doesn't do anything. But you know what? It's the pulse. I mutate something because that's what I'm here to do. So it's way more impactful. It feels a lot better, and it's just not. That's the way that I'm designed to be. It's just the pulse.
That's been such like
I fucked up the algorithm totally. I mean, I totally fucked up the algorithm because
that's been like really just good for me to integrate as a business owner. And before having this perspective of like, you need to post however many times a day, you need to post this kind of content and blah blah blah. And it's just like, no. I'm gonna post when there's a pulse, when I have a response for it, and when it's content that I want to make. And I'm not necessarily gonna post just what I think people want from my mind,
Yeah.
Well, even on here, like our coffee talks have started to line up to be on Wednesdays, and I was like, oh, are they going to be on Wednesdays now? And I was like, no, that feels like maybe they'll be on Wednesdays. Like it's just like,
well, Wednesday is a Mercury day, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that it's like we all want to be chatty on Wednesdays, but we don't have control of that, right? It's like, where's the energy at?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
All right, let's see if there's anything else that we haven't really talked about here.
Someone's asking, do you feel the pulse like a heartbeat move up from your feet?
No. Comes from my authority, which is my solar plexus, so it's in my entire torso. Lungs, pancreas, kidneys. It's a really, I have a really strong emotional system. So when I feel the pulse, it's going down. I mean, I don't even when even with my, I mean, usually when I feel the pulse, I'm like, fuck yeah, finally.
Same.
You're highly individual. It's like, yeah, it's like, oh, fine. Here, finally, 15, 20 days later, like, finally, it's the only, I mean, and I'm only emoting. I have one activation in my solar plexus. That's it. I'm highly melancholic. So if I get the pulse or I get a high, I mean, that's like 15% of my life. Like, oh, I'm not in melancholy. I'm not what other people would call depression. It's like, this feels good. Oh, yes, I'm gonna savor it. But it's a very visceral feeling from my solar plexus, and it's not a I feel the pulse. Now I'm gonna do something. I feel the pulse, and I'm moving to do something as I feel.
Yeah.
One principle.
What do you enjoy most about being quad right, Breyton?
Everything.
Everything. I mean, you don't know any other way of life, right?
I think everything about being quad right wouldn't change my configuration, period, for anything.
I hope everybody feels that way, by the way. That's like my wish for everybody is love the shit out of your configuration and don't wish to be anything else, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Kiara's on here. Kiara, I made a reel for like thinking about you and Breyton, so we should check it out.
Yeah.
Question for Breyton: what does melancholy feel like for you?
It's just my normal frequency. It would make most people cry all day, but it's just me. It's just, it's like when emoting's in transit. People are like, I'm so melancholic, and I've cried 5 times today. I just woke up and ate pain for breakfast. I have despair for lunch.
She just said I just woke up and ate pain for breakfast.
Yeah.
Make that a graphic, please.
Right. Oh man, just like pain cereal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna meme that.
I have despair for lunch. I'm
$39.55.
Throw in some hopelessness for dinner. This is what it is to be at $39.55. It's to and especially when the wave is, I'm right, totally fixed. I'm quad right, so my wave is actually compressing. My solar plexus is actually getting more powerful. And I'm a 55.6. I have the mutation line. So I have a very powerful emotional system, and
so
this is my life. It's just my life. I understand that to get to get to the point of my wave compressing, I have to feel this. I have to go through all of this because 39.55. This is the key to spirit awareness. This is the key to what the species is going to become, and I carry that in my body. I'm very grateful for it. I'm very grateful that I have the channel of emotional awareness. So do you, Teresa. I'm very grateful for it. I just have the one activation. I'm very grateful for it. I'm grateful for my melancholy because I can have days where I feel nothing, and it's hard when you have days where you feel nothing. But I see things through a different lens on those days that I feel nothing. I see things through a different lens when I'm in melancholy. I see things through a different lens when I'm in hope and joy. I see things through a different lens when I'm in pain and despair than other people do. And that can't be emulated, that can't be replicated. That's just part of my uniqueness. And the melancholy melancholy has its own beauty. It has its own frequency, and that's all. That's what I know for most of my life is melancholy. So I couldn't really tell you how it feels other than that's my base frequency, and Yeah, like I said, paying for breakfast. I mean,
Kiara brought up, she said, me in an openness transit. Why am I so sad all the time? And Teresa has that one too. Teresa's like emotional professional.
just got a lot
True.
of patience.
Just like over here crying. But then it's like I experience the high highs too, which
you get the yeah. I mean, you experience the melancholy, but you've got you've got a different configuration, and you do, it's not like melancholy is your life like it is mine. No, it's just different. It's just, and I've been in a penta with you. I've been connected. Our solar plexus have communicated before. I know your frequency very well. Yeah, it's what did Kara said? I don't envy being a pure individual.
Yeah, I like being tribal. I have one individual channel.
I mean, I love it, but yeah. I'm me. I'm me. I'm a 3955. If I wasn't a 3955 with integration, maybe I don't know. I don't know. I love my configuration. Yeah, those tribal highs. When I had 49, man, because I'm a 19. Those tribal highs, when they went away, I was like, oh wait, I forgot I was like this. Let me cry all day. Because when I had 49, it was like, I mean, all of a sudden I became the emotional authoritarian. Like 49 turned on, and I was like, revolution. I was like, I mean, it was bad. I was like scared of myself. I was like, damn, you're gnarly as fuck right now. Like, I mean, it was gnarly, and then it turned off, and I was like, oh damn, I'm just gonna cry and eat ice cream in bed now.
I need ice cream.
I don't know, maybe I'll
or
have
ice cream for breakfast.
in 2 weeks. Maybe I'll have a high.
See, I get little flavors of all of this because I have so many activations in my solar plexus. But
you do, yeah, you do.
And like, yeah, I have synthesis right now. I have emoting right now. I always have 22, so I don't have well 22 right now, but I get to flavor them all.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You do.
And it's cool to watch you guys in your process and watch other emotionals in their process. And when you share about it, it really helps us non-emotionals understand it. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. I really liked Amy's post from, I think it was yesterday she posted it or something about how the lows are not acceptable most of the time. But that's actually how I know, and I think you said this to me one time, Breyton, but that's how I know people are correct for me, is when I feel comfortable being in a low around them, and I know they're not going to like run away from me.
Yeah, if you can't handle my low, get the fuck away from me. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't want to be friends with you. I don't want anything to do with you, because you're not only are you're rejecting what I am, but you're disliking my authority. So fuck you. Like, you got a problem with emotional definition. You got a problem with me. I mean, like, it's just a serious problem. You got a problem with my authority. You don't exist. I mean, it's serious for me. I don't fuck around. It's not oh, that's your opinion. It's fuck you. And until you live that as an emotional being, people will never respect you. They will never respect you until you respect your solar plexus enough that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people think about your low. You have to be that radical. Otherwise, people will never respect you. They won't.
How does the individual circuitry connect to the ESP and feeling of waves? I think she's referring to wave mechanics of the individual waves.
Yeah, I mean, individual is in the middle. It's in melancholy, and then it spikes to the highest hope and down into the deepest pain. The other waves don't do that. It can happen at any moment in time. I mean, I can wake up and I can be good, and then I can have a session in, an hour or 30 minutes, a spike into pain and whatever. Gotta just reschedule that. I mean, whatever. It's just life. I like that. That was one of many things I like that Ross said. But he said, emotional beings know what life is. They know that it's ups and downs. They know that it's pain and happiness. Emotional beings know what life actually is. And he was unemotional. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just for the individual. It's highly melancholic, and it does depend on mechanics. If you're a pure individual, if you're a pure individual and you just have the 12-22, and you know what I'm talking about. You know, if you're a pure individual, you just have emoting. You know what I'm talking about. It's just it's different. And when you have something else other than, you know, the emoting stream, even those are mutated by the emoting stream. I mean, I could walk into somebody's field and I'm very mutative, and I can actually mutate their wave. I don't decide how it gets mutated, but that's how powerful emoting is. Mutate somebody else's emotional wave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need to do a lot of research on what it does to when it's, like, for instance, Therese has a lot of activations, and when there's a different, we know that it's going to, if it interacts with something that's tribal, it's usually going to fix it in highs more often. The collective, we know that it can fix it kind of in the middle more often. But there's so much research that still needs to be done, and it's going to have to be done by people like me. It's going to have to be done by people that have a lot of knowledge of the solar plexus. If we didn't, Ra died before he could do that research. So, yeah.
So a lot to uncover and a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's still, you know, the human design system isn't absolute. The mechanics are absolute, but there are aspects, like there's aspects of rightness that have to be, you know, researched further. That's part of what I do. There's parts, you know, things about projectors that didn't get established because Ra wasn't going to establish things for projectors until projectors, well, there was enough of us to wake up, which there is now. There wasn't 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. You know, there wasn't somebody, you know, right now I can have immersion because there's enough of us up that can learn now. Ra did his own, you know, his own version, but it was like between the past 10 years, it's not like, you know, nobody that was a sacral being was going to try and hold that. You know, Ra only could because it was him, and then he was non-sacral, right? So it's like there are parts of human design and the knowledge that we still need to establish, but that's about it. You know, there's still research that needs to be done. The mechanics are absolute, but there's still research that needs to be done. There's still things that projectors have to establish amongst ourselves, right? How we identify with each other, how we differentiate. So I mean, there's still research that needs to be done, but I say research, not opinions. Research needs to be done on the emotional system, because even looking, I mean, I'm a 3955. I understand the emotional system. I truly do understand the emotional system. But there's things that are happening in there that I can't comprehend. I mean, I remember when I started to pick up data through my solar plexus from other people, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And, you know, Rob would talk about the solar plexus. He's like, we don't know what is going on. The capabilities is so vast that he's like, I can't comprehend it. And he's the person that knew the most about it. You know, he was the person that was given the knowledge. So there's a lot to go into on that. And we're not going to know until the mutation's done. And then we're going to have to go through research.
Right. How do you know you're mutating someone else's wave?
I don't. I mean, unless it comes into my consciousness, but I'm usually not concerned with that. I don't necessarily know. I mean, I'm a mutated being. Usually anybody I'm around, something's happening to them. I mean,
something's happening.
Something's happening, you know. They're amplifying whatever I got going on in my solar plexus. Something's happening. So I always just leave it at that. Yeah. There's always something going on.
Well, I feel complete. I have a client in a few minutes, so everybody else feel complete? Because we could like keep going for hours.
we do a part two.
Yeah, we'll have you back on. We talk all the time, so this is just friends chatting it up, you know.
I was about to say we're You're like two of my best friends. Literally,
Yeah,
like
you're
literally.
just a fly on the wall of friends
We,
conversation.
we have a group Instagram chat and group iMessage chat.
You just send each other shores pictures.
Yeah.
Shores
Yeah.
porn.
We're doing another one.
Yeah. Like Brayton's new place, that's shores porn.
Oh yeah, it's shores porn.
Yeah, you gotta come visit. I gotta finish furnishing the upstairs, but yeah, come.
We'll be there. Mountains in the mountains.
You know.
All right, love you guys. Thanks
We
everybody
will,
for coming.
We'll tag Brayton in the comments, and also if you are receptive or you're a projector, go check out Brayton's link in his bio. He's doing projector immersions, receptivity immersion. I don't know if you have another one that's launched, but just
couple months. Those will be in March or April.
Yeah.
Those will be launching again once I'm done with this round. So March, April, we'll see what the solar plexus says. But check. I'm the only person that does it. So
yeah, you have monopoly.
Whatever.
All right. Thanks.
All right, bye everybody. Thanks, Brayton.
Bye everybody.